Before we can defend the Christian story to non-believers, they need to know what it is we're defending. We're not defending a God who lacks compassion or purpose or power or wisdom. We're not defending a God who cares only about his own image and not those he created in his own image. We're not defending a God who is too sweet to be wholesome. A divine Father Christmas whose only business is to see that we are happy, especially those of us that already have more than enough toys. No. We're defending a God who is in earnest about redeeming the human family from moral and social death, the entire human family. And he wants to do that by bringing it to fullness of immortal life in a new heaven and a new earth. We're defending a God who is a divine paramedic with life on his mind and life on his heart. He saw a vast cosmic wreck that only he knows the awful dimensions of. And he came to rescue. And it doesn't matter to him, don't you see? It doesn't matter to him that critical and uninvolved onlookers might think his methods are overkill or cruel. He's willing to be misunderstood and maligned, for he knows his own purposes, and he will not be sidetracked by opinion polls or bad press. You'll remember the movie, The Miracle Worker. It's about Annie Sullivan and Helen Keller. Annie Sullivan has come to deliver Helen Keller from a life-denying and life-killing utter isolation. Sullivan's eager and deadly serious about her purpose. But before long she realizes that the parents, not Helen, though she's opposed, but Sullivan learns that it's the parents that are the chief obstacle to Helen's deliverance. They continue to interfere and protest against Sullivan's lack of gentleness, claiming she's too hard and too demanding. They're unwilling to stand against Helen for Helen, allowing her to do anything, you see. And that's bad enough. But they're even unwilling to allow Sullivan to do what they will not do. They're too weak to pay the price themselves and too weak to allow someone else to pay it. They just can't bear to watch. Frustrated beyond measure, Annie finally yells her anger in the face of the Kellers. Do more for her, or do less. Well, when it's all over, Helen thanked God for the woman who was willing to look and sound like Attila the Hun, so she could enrich her beyond her wildest dreams. Sullivan wouldn't allow Helen peace so that she could give her the world. Sullivan wouldn't allow her comfort so she could give her life. Sullivan was willing to take some things from her for a while, that she might give her everything for always. Look, I can see that people don't believe. I understand that there are millions who couldn't care less. Some because they're hedonists. All they want to do is what they want to do and enjoy themselves and party life away. And others because they live desperate lives filled with urgent demands. They hardly have time to think, much less think about what God's doing, if He's doing anything. All this I can understand. What's harder to understand is sensitive non-believers who think the entire question about life and existence is worth wrestling with, but who are unwilling to allow the biblical story a genuine hearing. Such people should allow themselves to be carried out into the depths by the story. Allow themselves the vision of what it promises and the hope it generates. If after that they feel they need to reject it, well, then, if they must, they must. But what if a careful and sympathetic hearing of the story exposes both the awful and mysterious moral wreck of the cosmos and God's startling but finally redeeming purpose that ends in all wrongs being righted and life for all who want it? And should some non-believer who's listening to this, should some non-believer decide to do just that, to give the biblical story a fair and honest and sympathetic hearing, let me urge you to ignore the arrogant religionists who act like the elite and rant and rave as though everyone in the world deserves nothing but a divine savaging, themselves excluded, of course. Ignore, too, those whose God, on the one hand, is sickeningly sweet, pours out sugar ceaselessly, and who apparently does nothing but shower Westerners with superabundance to keep them from pouting. Poor things. Mustn't have them feeling neglected. So He must answer every prayer that the well-off offer up, just to fine-tune their happiness, you understand. Ignore those whose God's like that on the one hand, and on the other hand, a God who shakes His head in despair at the evil that men do. This isn't the God of the Bible. Not one of those is the God of the Bible. If you feel you must reject God in the end, well, okay. At least let it be the God of the biblical story. The God of Jesus Christ, whose cross is where revelation reaches its most mysterious clarity.